Okay, so ready to dive into something a little different.
Always up for a deep dive, yeah. What are we looking at today?
Well, you've been sharing some research on meditation lately, and it's got me thinking.
Ah, yes. It's fascinating stuff, isn't it?
Totally. But it's more than just, lighting candles and chanting. We're talking about how it actually rewires your brain.
It's not just about relaxation now,
Yeah.
though that's definitely a nice perk.
Right. So we've got these papers, some from a scientific perspective, others looking at it from like traditional Buddhist philosophy.
A good mix. I'm seeing connections I hadn't considered before.
Me too.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, shall we? Like, how does meditation actually work? What are we doing to our minds?
Well, one of the core ideas, and it's something a lot of folks in the West miss, is that meditation is about shaping your mind, not emptying it.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Shaping it how?
So there's this idea of cultivating wholesome qualities. Think of it like gardening almost.
Cultivating. Okay, I like that. But our minds aren't exactly empty gardens, are they? More like overgrown jungles sometimes.
Exactly. And Buddhist texts often use the analogy of the jumping monkey to describe the untamed mind, constantly flitting from one thing to another.
Oh, tell me about it. I feel that especially these days with like everything demanding our attention all the time.
Right. So meditation, in a sense, is about taming that monkey, not through force, but through understanding and gentle guidance.
So we're not suppressing thoughts, but rather working with them.
Yes, and the science behind this is really cool. Studies show that even short periods of meditation can physically increase gray matter in the prefrontal cortex.
And just for my own brain fog, remind me, what does that part of the brain do again?
It's the part responsible for decision making, focus, planning, all that good stuff.
Ah, so it's like we're strengthening a muscle. The more we meditate, the better our brains become at, well, being brains.
Exactly. And that translates to better stress management, emotional regulation,
Mm.
all sorts of benefits.
Which, speaking of stress, that was another thing that really jumped out at me from the research you shared.
Ah, yes. The amygdala comes into play here. It's your brain's alarm system, basically.
Right, that fight or flight response. Sometimes it feels like it goes off before I even know what's happening.
Exactly. And what meditation seems to do is strengthen the connection between the prefrontal cortex, that decision-making part, and the amygdala.
So instead of just reacting instantly, we have a moment to choose our response.
Precisely. And this is something Buddhist philosophy has been exploring for centuries. The idea that a lot of our suffering comes from resisting the way things are.
Instead of fighting our emotions, we learn to sit with them. That's a really different way of thinking about it.
It is. And it's not about becoming emotionless. It's about changing our relationship to those thoughts and feelings.
Recognizing that they're there, but not letting them control us.
Yes. And this is where the real transformation begins, I think.
Wow. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. And from what I'm gathering, this understanding, this way of thinking, it extends beyond just like our own inner world, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I find so fascinating about it.
Because one of the papers you shared, it talked about loving kindness meditation and how it can actually make us more compassionate.
It is, yeah. And it's not just about us as individuals either, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the papers you sent mentioned this thing called Buddhist psychotherapy, and I have to admit, I don't really know what that is.
Yeah. So it's basically taking that ancient wisdom of Buddhist teachings and practices and kind of weaving them into modern therapy.
Okay, so it's not like replacing therapy, but more like using mindfulness and meditation and things as tools.
Exactly. And it can be really helpful for all sorts of things like anxiety, depression, even just dealing with the everyday stresses of life.
So how does that actually work? Like if I was seeing a therapist who uses these Buddhist principles, what would that look like?
So let's say you're struggling with self-criticism, which is something a lot of us deal with, right? A therapist trained in this approach might guide you through a loving kindness meditation.
Okay, and what's the goal of that?
Well, it's about cultivating self-compassion, right? Instead of beating yourself up, you're learning to treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a good friend.
That's really interesting because I think a lot of us are way harder on ourselves than we would ever be on someone else.
Absolutely. And Buddhist psychology really emphasizes this idea that suffering is a universal experience.
Yeah.
We all go through tough times. It's part of being human.
But it's not about pretending everything's okay or ignoring the difficult stuff, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's more about recognizing that we have a choice in how we respond to those difficult emotions.
So instead of getting swept away by those negative thoughts, we can learn to observe them without judgment and choose a different path.
Exactly. And this is where that idea of the mind as a chariot comes in. You know that analogy.
I think so. Refresh me.
So in Buddhist texts, they often describe the mind as a chariot. Our thoughts and emotions are like wild horses, and we need a skilled charioteer to guide them.
And that's where meditation comes in. It helps us become better drivers, so to speak.
So exactly. It gives us the tools and the practice to work with those wild horses of our minds, instead of letting them run wild.
That is such a helpful way to think about it, and it makes me realize how important it is to find those moments of stillness amidst all the chaos.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need anything special to start meditating. No fancy equipment or years of training.
So anyone can do it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Even just taking a few minutes each day to focus on your breath can make a world of difference.
It's like building a muscle, right? The more we practice, the stronger we become.
Exactly. And over time, those moments of stillness, they start to permeate our entire lives.
It's not just about sitting on a cushion. It's about bringing that awareness and intention to everything we do.
Exactly. And that's when the real magic happens, I think. We start to see those positive changes, not just in our own lives, but in the world around us as well.
It's like those ripple effects we were talking about earlier. Like if we can cultivate more peace within ourselves, maybe we can contribute to a more peaceful world.
No, wouldn't that be something?
It really would. And what's amazing to me is that all of this wisdom, it's been around for centuries, and yet it feels so relevant to our lives today.
It's timeless, isn't it?
Yeah.
And in a way, I think we need these ancient practices now more than ever.
I agree. With all the stress and distractions of modern life, it's so easy to feel lost and overwhelmed. But meditation offers us a way to come back to ourselves, to find that center again.
Exactly. It's about reconnecting with that inner peace and wisdom that's always been there within us.
It's not a quick fix by any means, but it's a practice, a journey of self-discovery and growth.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing is, it's a journey we can all take.
And who knows where it might lead us.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless.
Well, I don't know about you, but this conversation has definitely given me a lot to think about, and I'm feeling inspired to deepen my own meditation practice.
Me too. It's always a good reminder.
And for our listeners out there who are curious to learn more, we'll be sure to link to some of the resources we've mentioned in the show notes.
Yes, definitely check those out.
It really is amazing though, right? Like how can something so simple be so powerful?
I know, right? And one of the things I hear a lot is, oh, I can't meditate or I'm not good at it. But there's no right way to do it, really.
It's not about emptying your mind completely, like some people think.
No, not at all. It's more about, like we were saying, noticing those thoughts, those feelings, and letting them be.
So it's more about consistency than like achieving some perfect meditative state.
Exactly. The key is to find a technique that you actually enjoy, that fits into your life.
Because there are a lot of different ways to meditate, aren't there?
Oh yeah, tons. We touched on mindfulness-based stress reduction, but there's also mantra meditation, walking meditation, you name it.
So it's about finding what works for you, what clicks.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, as you go deeper, you can always explore more. Different schools of thought within Buddhism, the latest research. It's a whole world.
It really is fascinating stuff. And I think we've covered so much ground today, the science behind it, how it can make us more compassionate.
Yeah, it's been a good deep dive.
It really has. And I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to maybe give it a try themselves or even just learn a little more.
Definitely. And remember, it's not just for monks or, people who wear yoga pants all the time. It's for everyone.
It's about taking that ancient wisdom and making it relevant to our crazy modern lives.
And who knows, maybe if we all find a little more inner peace, it'll have a ripple effect outward.
Now, wouldn't that be something?
It really would.
Well, on that note, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. This was awesome.
My pleasure. Always a good conversation.
And to everyone listening, we'll catch you on our next exploration. Until then, keep those brains curious.